Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative Part 2. And I am very, very happy to be here today. It's the 6th of January and it's our first show of the year. So Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New 2025 to all our viewers that are here and loyal and regular, and our viewers here for the first time. A warm welcome to our loyal viewers and friends at across all of our usual social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Our topic today is a very, very interesting one. In our part 1 of A Woman's Prerogative tonight, we really got some very interesting and authentic shares from the panel and our special guest. Our topic today is From Chaos to Clarity, Balancing Parenting, Business and Self-Care. I'm Caroline Heward. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be representing Dr. Jacqueline as your host for USA Global TV and Radio's flagship show, A Woman's Prerogative. I'm also a TV presenter on USA Global TV and Radio and resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio. I'm also known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. I'm joined today by a panelist, a full-time panelist who is with me all the way from Australia, and it's Mariska Dupree. She is coach extraordinaire. She's an optimist and an ICF PCC credentialed coach. She is amazing. She has some always incredible insights to share on our shows, and I learned so much from having Mariska on the shows because we have similar thoughts and at the same time we have very different backgrounds. So please bring out our wonderful full-time panelist for A Woman's Prerogative Part 2, Mariska Dupree.
Hello, Caroline.
Hello.
And welcome back and welcome to everybody in 2025.
Absolutely. I can't believe where the years go. It didn't feel that long ago that I actually said hello to 2024.
Yes, so true.
Please, Mariska, do share, especially for viewers that are here for the first time and viewers here on the replay, a little bit about what you do and how you help people.
So I am a leadership development partner, and I partner with people that's in specialization moving into leadership or already in leadership and moving up in their career space. And I help you to bring a little bit more humanness into your space because, well, especially when we are specialists, it is sometimes difficult to let go of the things that we do so well and have others do it. So if that's something that you struggle with, you know who to call. And literally, the who to call, how to do that. You can do that via my email, which is at the bottom of the screen there. Mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively you can also catch up with me on LinkedIn and we can start our conversation from there. How about you, Caroline?
Thank you very much, Mariska. Well, for me, I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help people bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology. I also use counseling skills, energy healing, and I'm a master practitioner in NLP, stress management, and clinical hypnotherapy. I help people bust through the patterns, the repeating patterns that create their stress, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral, whether it's a physical pain that they have that repeats. So every time they're feeling stressed or under the weather, they get a particular pain, whether they're complaining about a relationship or a partner or a friendship or a colleague at work, whether they're having anger issues or whether they're suffering bereavement issues, there will be a familiarity of how they're experiencing that repeat pattern, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral. And I identify the root cause of what creates that initial stress and that initial response where it first began. We break through that pattern and that releases the emotion so they feel different, more at peace and much calmer, and the emotion is released. I also work with corporates and I do lunch and learn talks for corporates and their teams to break through the misunderstandings of how to manage and how to deal with stress in the everyday living. That's me. You can contact me on nomorestress@live.co.uk or follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. And I look forward to speaking to you soon and helping you bust your stress. So now we move into our very interesting topic, from chaos to clarity, balancing parenting, business, and self-care. This is very much a difficult subject for me. And at the same time, in part one, I felt that I was really able to contribute because it's very much about balancing. And even though I'm not a parent, this really resonated with me in terms of what we shared. So my first question, Mariska, is literally looking at defining balance in your life when it comes to parenting and running a business, and either in your personal experience or the experience that you have in giving advice to your clients. How do you define balance in your life?
Caroline, I'm very happy that you start with balance and the question around balance. So having children in the house has long passed for me. And even thinking back to my parents and balancing life in general with children in the house, I think it's, for me, a lot about the energy management that we do. And realizing that we don't always have the same amount of energy for everything every day. And we have times when, if you can imagine yourself falling sick, you don't have the same amount of energy and zest for life as when you would be healthy and happy and everything just goes the right way. So it's really around the energy management, and that's the way that I think about balance. So my 100% today might look a little bit different to my 100% tomorrow, depending on the amount of energy that I have available to expend on whatever it is that I need to do. Of course, the different things that come into our life and the different things that might be happening at that stage might also impact it. So thinking about my move that I did not so long ago to Australia, there's been a lot of balancing that needed to take place in that space because there's been a lot of things that happened within that environment. So being able to balance that in a way that I could still feel cared for and well-resourced. So when I think about balance, it's the energy piece and the being well-resourced in whatever shape or form that might come across as. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of external resources that we can utilize to help us with said energy balance. And in saying that, Caroline, I know that this is a little bit of a expertise field for you. So what would you say balance is about?
Thank you, Mariska. I was really nodding as you were speaking. I agree with everything that you said. And one of the things that I would say and talk about is the energy side of things, that that we are very different in different aspects and different tasks that we do. And so if I'm doing an admin task, for instance, I stay in the admin, and it becomes like it becomes very rhythmic, and I can do much when I decide to do a morning or a day of admin. I find it very difficult to do admin and client work on the same day, because my head is in a different space when I'm doing admin versus doing client work. And so if I'm doing my accounts, for instance, it's very difficult for me to then become suddenly the therapist, because I'm very meditative when I'm working with clients, and when I'm in the figures and when I'm in my accounts, I'm very focused, and the vision becomes very concentrated in the receipts and the invoices and the paperwork, and so it actually screws up my head. And that's not the same energy I would be in when I'm with a client or doing a client inquiry. And in my training over the years, I discovered with one of the trainers that I worked with that when we change task, if we're doing admin and then we're doing phone calls, it takes about 20 minutes so that you can reorient the energy to do that particular task. So I do have and set aside time for admin and time for emails and time for calls, even though sometimes the calls come in willy-nilly. But I do set aside that kind of time, because I know it can take about 20 minutes to go from one type of task to another, and it's not productive. And that's one of the ways that I create balance. And one of the other ways I create balance is that when I'm doing too much admin and really focused on the screen, it really hurts my eyes. They get very sore. So I take a break. I take time out. I make myself a drink, and I might organise lunch or organise dinner, and then go back to it a few hours later or an hour later, depending on the time of day, to take a break from the screen. So balance for me is understanding how different things task my energy. And if I've taken a phone call, it can take me twice as long to get back into the admin, and then I go onto a rhythm again. So I don't know what your thoughts are about what I've just shared. Have you any comments to make of what I've just shared, Mariska?
I love the attention to the task and really understanding what type of tasks require what type of energies. As you were talking, one of the things that came up for me is within our neural networks as well, the fact that our brain has two different ways of functioning in general. So it likes to do focused work, so your accounting, right, where it is a more focused type of thing. And then it likes to do things that's a little bit more wizardry. And we have a tendency to tap more into our intuitions and finer things in our space. And our brain doesn't like to be in that space in a focused state. So I absolutely get that switching from doing administrative work to doing non-administrative work can be a bit of a whiplashy feeling, which I have experienced myself as well. And one of the things that I find for me that helps with the balance, especially after having had a client interaction, is doing some reflection, because it almost feels like I'm able to help my brain to sort through the things that we just discussed and the things that I've noticed about myself and the session that we had and all the rest of it. And also come back into a bit more of a focused state during that process. So it doesn't really matter what I'm journaling as much in the sense of what I'm writing down. It's more of it's helping my brain to go a little bit more narrow and in the process reflect, so I can learn from what just happened, which I found a good way to switch energies from time to time and help me to also balance. And I'm absolutely with you on scheduling times for specific tasks as far as possible. I know it's not always possible, to ensure that the tasks are appropriate for the type of energy that we need to give it. And sometimes I have to admit, I swap my calendars around because I might think, oh yeah, that day I'm going to do all my admin work, and I get to that day and I so do not feel like admin work. And then I'll swap it with another day where I might have been doing content creation or something else that's a little bit more creative. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this today. So sometimes I swap them out.
I so resonate with you on the fact that you schedule time for something and then it doesn't happen. Something else comes in, and then it's like sort of my kind of procrastination, oh, right, I'll do that. I'll do anything but do the accounts. I know that my accountant's going to be screaming at me if I don't start doing them now. So Mariska, thank you very much for sharing that. What's your biggest challenge that you faced as a parent and business owner, and how have you overcome it?
Well, when I think about parenthood, at that stage, I did not own a business. I did work, however, and I studied at the same time. So I was busy with my bachelor's in engineering, parenting, and working full-time. So there's a lot of stuff that happened all at the same time. And the way of balancing was sort of making sure that I did some of my study work when either the rest of the household was taken care of and off playing something or doing something else, or the kids were busy with their homework and I could do my homework. That also worked really well, especially as they just started school at that stage. So it was fairly easy to convince them that I needed to do homework so they can do their homework too. Although they sometimes needed help with their homework, which interrupted my homework. Not so ideal. And then other ways of balancing is, well, luckily there were two of us. Well, there's still two of us. And at that stage, having that extra parent that's not busy with studies at the same time to be able to balance out the type of tasks that we have within just running a household in general and working. So we were both full-time working, and being in the maintenance field myself, as well as him being in the maintenance field, there's from time to time standby and call outs and that sort of thing that you also need to contest with. So it's not always a 9 to 5 straight, this is working hours, and then I could schedule my study hours in between. Sometimes I needed to work over weekends or at night, or I would get calls at night and have to go out to the plant and then come back the next morning and be quite tired. So if I didn't quite work out and be constant with what I was doing at that stage, it did make things really, really tricky. So what I found worked really well for me is having some form of schedule. Yes, as I mentioned before, sometimes things move around in said schedule, and being consistent. So consistency, I have found, for me, works wonders, because it is, I cannot remember who said this. I know it is a writer that mentioned that inspiration strikes at 9 a.m. in the morning, because that's when they sat down to write. So as long as I had some form of constant rhythm that I could go into, it just made it a lot easier. I think one of the other things that I also found as I progressed in life is having a space that is delegated to whatever the activity is. So for instance, I work from home. I have a room that is my office. And when I am done working, I can literally close the door, and I don't have to go into that room. So it makes a big difference in how I also utilize my energy within the house itself, understanding to boundary set. That's one thing that we needed to do, especially while I did my studies and we had the kids and we had work and all the rest of the things. Being able to set boundaries to say, okay, so this is time that I need to focus on study work. I don't have a choice. I need to do at least an hour. So if you guys can go and, I don't know, play with your dad for an hour, that's fine. We're all happy. I can do a little bit of my study work and then I can come and join you. So being able to do that is also very helpful. Of course, it is a lot easier with more mature or bigger children than it is with very, very little ones, because they don't always understand. And in that case, you know what? Dad, go to the park, please. That also helps.
I love it. You made me think in your share about the fact that I had to balance study and work and personal commitments, and that defined the fact that I wanted to get the office out of my bedroom because I worked from home. And when I moved to London in 2008, when I moved to a property of my own and bought a property, that was my big decider, that I had to have my bedroom being the bedroom and the office being the office. Mm-hmm. And I really made it an office. And that was so liberating because I'd had my computer, the printer, all my files, everything in the bedroom. And that was quite hard because I literally got out of bed and went onto the computer. And it was in the same space that I was trying to be peaceful. And as soon as I got it out of the bedroom and had a bespoke office, it was so liberating. It was absolutely amazing for me. And I would not compromise that ever again. And, you know, now I've moved to the north of the country. I have a much bigger property, double the size, in fact. I've put my studio in the living room. So my living room isn't a living room only, it is a studio as well, because the office is the office. So now next time I'll be looking for a bigger property so I can have a studio in another room. So now I have a different boundary to sort out. Mariska, what do you think about the concept of having it all? Is it achievable? And is it something that needs redefining?
Having it all is a very interesting concept. And I think for me, it's interesting because it depends on how you define it. It's one of those things where it really, for me, it's really around what's important to you, right? What is incorporated in this having it all? So yes, you can have it all, but what is the all that you are referring to? And what about the things that you want to put into that all is important to you? So is there stuff in there potentially that might not be the things that you value, but it's maybe things that other people value? That is something that from time to time I do come across, especially with some of my clients that moved or that transitioned into different other spaces, or even some of them that is re-looking at their career and going, well, is this really the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life? Because a lot of people at some stage, our parents might have an influence on the career we choose or the direction we take, or even friends or other family members might have had an influence on it. And really asking ourselves what's important about that specific thing for us. That to me is the first place I would start when I think about having it all. Because if it's not something that's important to you as an individual, as a human, why would you even want to bother putting it into your basket of so many other things that you want to achieve? So that's really the place that I would start with first. So for me, having it all looks like being able to have a flexible work environment, really enjoying the people that I work with, which I absolutely do. Being able to also have a stream of income that is sufficient to be able to support me, as well as having opportunities to learn. I love learning. So if I were to be in a space where I'm not able to learn, I would most probably go nuts at some point. So those are things that's important to me, and that's in my all bucket. Whereas for other people, if they you're doing another whatever course, they're like, oh, that sounds so exhausting. That to them is not in their all bucket. So it's really up to what it is that's in your all bucket and deciding what's important for you in that bucket. And I would literally kick everything else out of it. And you might find that your all bucket starts to look a lot more inviting, and then we make time for it. If there's stuff in our all bucket that we love doing or we're very interested in, we will make time for it. But if it includes stuff that we really hate, likelihood is procrastination number one. Well, that's, for me in any case, that's what I found. How about you, Caroline?
Well, Mariska, again, I'm nodding my head. We're so similar in so many ways. It's spooky, really. It made me consider and think about a time that I had conversations with one of my best friends. She was always planning adventure holidays and going to really exotic places. And I was always just in awe of the fact that she booked really extravagant and wonderful holidays. I never really booked holidays. For me, I'd go and do 3 weeks or 4 weeks in America and do some training. And I've gone to places like the Bahamas, Tampa Island. I've done lots of different parts of America, such as Florida and Daytona, and they've been very much around the training. So there've been long training days, meditation, early starts, late finishes. And to me, that was not a holiday. That was part of my bucket, as you've been describing. And I had regular things that I did each year. And one of them was going to America around this kind of time at the end of January, early February, for about 3 weeks and in training. And that particular friend said, when will you just have a holiday as a holiday? And I really contemplated on this, and I wondered what was wrong with me. And it wasn't that there was something wrong with me. We had different things in our buckets. I didn't need to go on holiday to escape the work I was doing, because I love the work I do. And I'm not saying my friend didn't love the work, she did, but I'm in a meditational state most of the time. And so I don't feel that it's work, even though obviously it is. I don't feel the need to escape. So my escape, so to speak, is doing more of what I do, and chanting and meditating and dancing and learning and being in a different state. And it's what I call my indulgence. And so from that perspective, I have quite good boundaries when it comes to my own self-care, because when I know that I need to indulge, I notice, I become aware, and then I take the space and indulge. And from my perspective, that is part of my having it all, because I do live on my own. I don't have a partner, and I can choose when I decide to go and dance at 2 a.m, or chant or do a meditation at 11 p.m. I'm not offending or upsetting anybody. And so I have become a little bit more I suppose, indulgent and maybe selfish that I'm able to take that time and have it all in terms of what's right for me. And what's right for me doesn't necessarily mean what's right for everyone, because the bucket, as you've been saying, Mariska, is different for everybody. I used to think that going out and clubbing and dancing out at clubs and being out with my friends every week, twice, 3 times a week, was having it all. And as I've got older, I've realized it's not about the going out, it's about how I feel internally. So now, having shared that, I'm feeling quite meditational in terms of, having it all, because I really do have it all. I can decide. So, Mariska, how do you model healthy boundaries for your children while balancing your career?
Now, that's an interesting question. I think for me, the modeling it's part of the beingness. It is, well, one, always a work in progress. I think I might stop learning the day after I'm dead, because the day of my death, I will still be learning how it is to go through that process. So yes, it is the beingness of it. And I think the way that, thinking back now, the way that I used to be with them while they were little and as they were growing up, and the way that I'm now, and if I were to have children right now and go through the process again, it might look quite different. The way that I might approach things might be quite different, because I am different. So I think that's the big thing of how it happens for most of us, is through the way that we behave, we set our boundaries. They may be good ones, they may not be good ones. For most parents out there, I am sure you are learning loads from your children, as much as they are learning from you, because it is a co-created relationship. And I appreciate that a lot more now than I did while I had them in the house. There was some appreciation of that at that time, but I think the appreciation of it has deepened over time. And realizing the amount of interaction that we have just in general. I mean, Caroline, you influence the way that I think about things. And we don't even see each other every day. We see each other once a week. So it's good to have those all the time and noticing. And I know that you don't have children, and I am sure that you have had a number of young people around you from time to time. So what would you say your boundaries and influence is like?
Thank you. I feel very honoured that I influence you. Thank you, Mariska. For me, I notice other people. And one of the things that really brings me a lot of joy is if I go to a retreat, a training retreat, or a chanting or a meditation retreat, and I'm noticing young children with their parents. And for New Year, I went to a chanting concert Sanskrit mantra. And there was this little girl, she couldn't have been more than about 4 or 5, sitting on her dad's shoulders, clapping and singing, chanting, and, sort of doing the moves. And I just felt that was beautiful. And if I did have children, I would want them part of what I do, include them in the things that give me joy. And so they get the experience of having that very deep, peaceful mind space and that very deep heart connected space. And I always notice when there's young children in these types of activities that I do, even in gong baths, where you're just lying down to the rhythm of the gongs. And I've seen young children in those. And I just feel very heartened that if I had young children, that's what I would be doing. They'd be coming along with me and they would be in my trainings, because children are like sponges and they soak everything up. They don't question too much because they're just like a soaked sponge, and they just take everything in, and they learn so quickly that it takes a lot of time for the adults to pick up what the child would soak in, and all these good things. I just feel that it's a good way to become nutritionally joyful, from the mind and the heart. That's what I would do. I would include them. I certainly wouldn't leave them. I would include them. And I've seen so many parents of my generation with young children, and they are beautiful. They're very conscious, very aware, very beautifully aware in terms of how to live in a much better way and how to be much calmer. So I would do that if I had children. We're almost at the end of our show. Can you believe it? I don't know where the time goes for this show. There's a couple of other questions that I do want to quickly go through that I feel would be useful in closure of this particular topic. On becoming your own best friend, what does becoming your own best friend mean to you, and why is it important?
Caroline, that's something that I have always felt is really, really important. Even as a teenager, at some stage, I had an experience where I dated this handsome guy, way back when, of course. And I think he was my very first boyfriend at that stage. And we broke up, unfortunately, as it happens. And I recall feeling lost, feeling a little bit like I lost myself within the relationship experience. And I needed to get reacquainted with me and who I am and what I am about and what I think and what I believe. And I think it's something that we as humans do not do enough of. There's a lot of telling how we should think, the way that we have to think things need to work. And my question to, everybody listening is, what is it that you think? What do you think and feel and want to say about the topic, whatever the topic might be? Because we don't get the opportunity to really, really think about that. And there is a practice called thinking time. And if you're not familiar with that, you can go and find the book by Nancy Klein. Wonderful. It's not a promotion or anything. I'm not getting any funds for this. She is a really, really wonderful writer on this concept of thinking time and helping others around us and ourselves to think fully for ourselves. And I think more people need to do that, because there's a lot of times we try to dull ourselves so much that we don't really know ourselves. And because we don't really know ourselves, we are sort of walking through life in a haze. We're not sure what it is that we do. We just get the house and the picket fence and the children because everybody else is doing it. Or we're getting that job or starting that side hustle or whatever the thing is that's popular at that stage because everybody else is doing it. This is how it should be, instead of, what is it actually that I want? And how do I want to create my life on this planet that's unique from everybody else? And that, I personally think, is something that is really, really important to discover. And if you haven't taken the time yet to do that, and you are potentially a little bit afraid to do that, I am sure you can contact either me or even Caroline, and we can both give you the space and time to do some of that thinking.
Thank you, Mariska. Wow, we are about out of time. Before we finish, I just want to say to you, journey of self. That was what was coming up for me. The journey of self is a very intricate journey. It's a personal journey. And whatever comes up for us in terms of the way that we experience life, that is our personal journey. And we could go on. There is so much more to share. Maybe there is a part 3 of A Woman's Prerogative on this particular topic. Thank you so much, Mariska, for your incredible shares and for being authentically you in what you have shared tonight with our viewers. Before we go, please do share how people can contact you, and then we'll close out with our sponsors.
So if you are an engineer or any other specialist and you want to move into leadership or moved into leadership, or you are already in leadership and moving up within that space, you can get hold of me via Mariska at journey2discover.com, or alternatively contact me on LinkedIn and we can start our conversation to bring more humanness into your space with your team.
Thank you, Mariska. And for me, you can contact me on nomorestress at live.co.uk, or call me if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. You can follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. Message me. I always answer my messages. And you can reach out to me on nomorestress at live.co.uk. And I look forward to busting your stress. Thank you, Mariska. It's been an excellent show full of incredible content. And I can see a part 3 coming up. From chaos to clarity, balancing parenting, business and self-care. What a show. Our first in the new year, 2025. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a wonderful show tonight. And I look forward to seeing you same time next week, Monday. That's for part 1, A Woman's Prerogative, at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time or 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And for part 2, 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time and 4 p.m. I think it is, Eastern Time. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been absolutely wonderful. We look forward to seeing you next week, whether you're watching on the live or the replay. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do join our VIP exclusive community and become an exclusive VIP community member. For first access to our newest videos, photographs and insights on the British royal family. It's live streamed on YouTube and USA Global TV and Radio. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye for now, and over to our sponsors.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Loughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Caroline.heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, MARISKA Dupriya. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacqueline.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.